This time, 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer, 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rare. Farmers driving into town in Fords. Everybody locks their doors at night now. Ain't been any burglars yet, but everybody's heard about it. On the whole, though, you'd be surprised. Things don't change that much around here. This is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. A lot of sky, a lot of clouds, often a lot of sun and moon and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon, and you can see range on range of hills. Awful blue they are, up by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee, and way up. And if you got a glass, you can see to the White Mountains and Mount Washington, where North Conway and Conway are. And of course, our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock, is right here. And the towns around it, Jaffrey, East Jaffrey, Petersburgh, and Dublin. And there, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. Yes, beautiful spot up here. Mountain laurels, and lilacs. I often wonder why people want to be buried in Woodlawn or Brooklyn when they might pass the same time up here in New Hampshire. Over there are the old stones, 1670, 1680, strong-minded people who come a long way to be independent. Summer people walk around there, laughing at the funny words on the tombstones. I guess it don't do any harm. And genealogists come up from Boston, get paid by city folks for looking up their ancestors. They want to be sure they're daughters of the American Revolution and the Mayflower. Well, I guess that don't do any harm either. Whenever you're near the human race, there's bound to be layers and layers of nonsense. There are the Civil War veterans, iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys had a notion the Union ought to be kept together, though they never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they had was a name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. Here's the new part of the cemetery. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs. Let me see. And Mr. Stimson, organist of the Congregational Church. And Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding so. You remember. Oh. And a lot of others. And Editor Webb's boy, Wallace, whose appendix burst on a Boy Scout trip to Crawford Notch. Yes, an awful lot of sorrow is quieted down up here. People just wild with grief have brought their relatives up this hill. You remember what it's like. And then, time. And sunny days, and rainy days, and snow. We're awful glad they're in a beautiful place. And we're coming up here ourselves when our fit's over. Now, there are some things we all know, but that we don't take out and look at very often. We all know that something is eternal. And it ain't houses, and it ain't names. It ain't the earth. It ain't even the stars. We all know in our bones that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. The greatest people ever lived have been telling us that for 5,000 years. And yet, you'd be surprised how often people are always losing hold of it. You know as well as I do, the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth, and the ambitions they've had, and the pleasures they've had, and the things they suffered, and the people they've loved. They get weaned away from the earth. That's the way I put it, weaned away. They stay up here, while the earth part of them burns away, burns out, until gradually they grow indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting for something that's coming, something important and great. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part of them to come out clear? Now, there's some things they're going to say that may offend you, but that's just how it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser, all those terribly important things kind of grow pale up here. And what's left when your memory's gone and your identity, Mrs. Smith? Well, there are some living people, There's Joe Stoddard, our undertaker, come to supervise a new-made grave. And here comes the Grover's Corners boy, who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you?
I'm Sam Craig.
Gracious sakes alive. Of all people, I should have known you'd been back for the funeral today. You've been away a long time, Sam.
Yes, I've been away for 12 years. I'm in business down in Buffalo, Joe. I was in the East when I got news of my cousin's death. I thought I'd combine things a little, see the old home. You look well.
Yes. Can't complain. Very sad our journey here today, Samuel.
Yes.
I always say I hate to supervise when a young person is taken. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to come early today. My son's supervising at the home.
Old Farmer McCartney. I used to do chores from after school. He had the lumbago.
Yes, he brought Farmer McCartney here a number of years ago now.
Why this, my Aunt Julia? I've forgotten that she... Of course.
Yes, Dr. Gibbs lost his wife 2-3 years ago now, around this time. Today's another pretty bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's boy, Sam Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Simon.
Do they choose their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Only the brave tend to pick a verse.
Doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There are many of those Hersey sisters left. Now let me see. I wanted to see my father's and mother's.
Over there with the Craigs, Avenue F.
He was yours at church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
People weren't really supposed to know. He'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life.
Oh, did he?
Hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course it got around. He chose his own epitaph. You'll see it there. It ain't a verse exactly.
Why, it's just some notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at the time.
What did she die of, Joe?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, you didn't know? She had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. 'Twas her second, though. She has a little boy about 4 years old.
Grave's gonna be over here?
Yes, there ain't much more room among the Gibbses. They're creating a whole new Gibbs section over at Avenue B. You'll excuse me now. I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia?
My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare. The road up here must have been awful muddy. What did she die of, Julia?
In childbirth.
Childbirth. I'd forgotten all about that. My, wasn't life awful? And wonderful.
Wonderful, was it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was one of the brightest girls ever graduated from high school. I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I called on them at their new farm just before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm.
It was on the same road we lived on.
Yep, right, smart farm.
Join
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Miss Gibbs.
Hello, Mother Gibbs. Emily. Hello. It's raining.
Yes. It'll be gone soon, dear. Just rest yourself.
It seems like thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that that was my favorite hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How do you do, Mr. Stimpson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I have made that farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you all the time. We wanted to show you the new barn and a great long cement drinking fountain for the stock. We bought that out of the money you left us.
I did?
Don't you remember, Mother Gibbs? The legacy you left us? Why, it was over $350.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Well, there's a patent device too on the drinking fountain so that it never overflows. And it never sinks below a certain point they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same with George without me. But it's a lovely farm. Live people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? I feel as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My little boy is spending the day at Mr. Carter's. Oh, Mrs. Carter, my little boy is spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford too. Never gives any trouble. I don't drive though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them? How long?
Just wait and be patient.
I know. Look, you're finished. They're going. Look! Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? Oh, Mother Gibbs, I never realized how in the dark and how troubled live persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till night, that's all they are. Trouble.
Little cooler than it was. Yes, the rays cooled it off a little.
The northeast winds always do the same thing, don't they?
But Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there again. Into living. I feel it. I know it. Why, just for a moment, I was thinking about the farm. And for a minute, I was there. And my baby was on my lap as plain as day.
Yes, of course you can.
But one can go back and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go back and live back there.
Yes, some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy day anyway. I'll choose the first day in which I love George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes?
And as you do, you see the things that they, down there, never know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our purpose here is to forget all that and look forward to what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
But, Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that light? It's all I know. It's all I have.
Oh, Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But it's a thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. At least, choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It will be important to know.
Well, it can't be since the baby was born. Or since I was married. I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. A Tuesday. Do you want any special time of day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
We'll begin at dawn. You remember it had been snowing for several days, but it stopped the night before. They'd begun clearing the roads. The sun's coming up.
Look! There's Main Street. And there's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And there's the livery stables.
Yes, it's 1899. This is 14 years ago.
Oh, this is the town I knew as a little girl. Look! There's the old white fence that used to be around our house. Oh, I'd forgotten that. I love it so. Are they inside?
Yes, your mother will be coming downstairs to get breakfast any minute.
Will she?
And your father has been away for several days, you remember. He came back on the early morning train.
No.
Well, he'd been away to his old college to make a speech. And he'd been back to New York at Clinton.
Look! There's Howie Newsom. And there's our policeman. But he's dead. He died.
Whoa, Bessie! Bessie! Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
Been rescuing a party. Darn near froze to death out by Polish town there. Got drunk and lay out in the snowdrifts. Thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Why, there's Joe Crow.
Morning, Mr. Ward. Morning, Howie.
Children, Wally, Emily, time to get up. Oh, Mama, I'm here. Oh, how young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young. You can come and dress by the kitchen fire if you like, but hurry up. Good morning, Mr. Newsom. Oh, it's cold.
10 below by barn.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up. Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere. Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid it out for you special on the dresser there. If it were a snake, it would bite you. Yes. Yes.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes. Just went back to my old college in New York State. Been any trouble here?
Well, I was called up this morning to rescue a Polish fella. Darn near froze to death he was.
You must get it in the paper.
It wasn't much.
Good morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Oh, it's fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Any trouble here?
None that I can think of. It's been right cold. Howie Newsom says it's 10 below over to his barn.
Yes, well, it's colder than that at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it. Oh, and Charles, don't forget, it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
Yes, I've got something right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. You can see her at breakfast. She's slow enough as it is. Hurry up, children. It's 7 o'clock. No, I don't want to call you again. I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. I love you all, everything. I can't look at everything hard enough. Good morning, Mama. Well, a very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises waiting for you on the kitchen table. Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have. I can't. I can't. But birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl. That and the blue paper is from your Aunt Carrie. And I reckon you can guess who brought the postcard album. I found it on the doorstep this morning when I was bringing in the milk. George Gibbs. Must have come over in the cold pretty early. Right nice of him. Oh, George. I'd forgotten that. Chew that bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day. Oh, Mama, just look at me 1 minute as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. You're a grandmother, Mama. I married George Gibbs. Wally's dead too, Mama. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway. Don't you remember? We felt just terrible about
wear it now, and I thought you'd like it.
And this is from you? Why, Mama, it's just lovely, and it's just what I wanted.
Well, I hoped you'd like it. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find what it conquered, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Wally has something for you, too. He made it at manual training class, and he's very proud. Be sure to make a big fuss about it. Your father has a surprise for you, too. Don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. We don't have time to look at one another. All this time, we never noticed. Take me back, up the hill, to my grave. But first wait, one more look. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking, and all the sunflowers, and food, and coffee, and new iron dresses, and hot baths, and sleeping, and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute.
No. The saints and poets, maybe. They do some.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are. Just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
And Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance. To go up and down, trampling upon the feelings of those about you. To spend and waste time as though you had 1,000,000 years. To always be at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. This is the existence you wanted to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Now, Simon Stimson, that ain't the whole truth and you know it. Emily, look at that star. I forget its name.
My boy Joel was a sailor. He knew them all. He used to set out on the porch evenings and tell them all by name. Wonderful it was. Stars mighty fine company. Yes, tis.
Here's one of them coming.
Goodness, ain't no time for one of them to be here.
Mother Gibbs. It's George.
Shh, just rest yourself.
It's George.
My boy Joel, who knew the stars, used to say it took millions of years for that speck of light to get to the earth. Don't seem like nobody could believe it, but that's what he'd say. Millions of years. Goodness, that ain't good.
He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs.
Yes, Emily?
They don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. There's a few lights on. Shorty Hawkins in the depot, who just watched the Albany train go by. And in the livery stable, there's a few people setting up late and talking. Yes, it's clearing up. The stars are doing their old crisscross journeys in the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think that there's no living beings up there, just chalk or fire. Except for this one, that keeps straining, trying to make something of itself. And it strains so hard that every 16 hours, it makes everybody lie down and rest. 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You get a good rest too. Good afternoon.
a few people that helped put all this together. And the first one is, I don't believe he's here right now, but all this scenery and all the scenery in the past shows we've done comes from one person, and that is Mr. B. And I would just love to have a round of applause for how amazing he is.
The next person we would like to recognize is Mrs. Mayland, who is in charge of all the costumes this year. So.
Last but absolutely not least, we have to thank the man who does it all, Mr. Flynn.
I gotta do my thing. If you were here last night, I'm sorry, but can we bring the seniors out? All of them. All of them. Last night I reviewed all of their acting careers since middle school. But it's a wonder. There, guys, spread out, go down. You got more room. This is how, isn't it amazing? Look at this. Nick, he's the guy on the soundboard. He has saved my life in myriad ways so far in this production. Coco has been my stage manager since the dawn of time, probably since 7th grade. And she has not missed a show in all of that time, and I am very appreciative. This is Michelle Amani. She's the other Mrs. Webb, if you got to see her. She has never auditioned before this year. This is the first play she's ever done. And man, let me tell you, it was pretty darn impressive. So there we got little Hardy here. She's the other Rebecca. And then right next to her is the other Emily, okay, in this play. And they have done amazing things over the years. She's famous for shooting down Wendy out of the sky in Peter Pan. Caitlin's done a number of things, Morticia Adams in particular last year. This is Andy. He's just an all-around good human being. And he also helps out whenever we can in the stage crew. You've done that stuff too over there too, right? Lights or that. He's done both. He's done whatever I need him to do. And this year he's backstage. This is the head of my stage crew for 3 years. Sydney Live, always backstage. This is actually one of the easier shows you ever had to do compared to some of the other nightmares. Well, we all know this one. She didn't audition last year, which I was really disappointed, but I found out how amazing she was at auditions this year. This is Anna Myron, and she is graduating along with Anna Keverly. The two Annas are here. This is Stephen and Kobe. She's had an amazing career acting-wise. Starting with my favorite, I forgot to mention it last night. You were the humbug in Janet Tollbooth, you know. And Stephen's done a million things. He was Gomez Adams last year. Over there somewhere, right? And then this was, I got it wrong last night. He was Pugsley. Last year at Adam's Family, he's done some amazing things. My favorite role he ever did was Milo in the Phantom Tollbooth. He was amazing. Leo, man, what a performance, huh? That's a lot of lines. That's a lot of lines. And to do it as well as he did it, and I was so, when he auditioned, I was like, wow. That's easy. I don't have to audition anybody. No, I did audition other people, but when he read it, he had it from the beginning. It's only grown since then. This is the amazing Charlie Dingle. Charlie has been in several shows. Sailor, but most memorably is Peter Pan. Way back when, in his 8th grade year, he was Peter Pan. But this year, his favorite side of the web. This is the girl who always tells me, I really don't want a big part at all. She's lived true to that, okay? In the year, this is Laura Kemp over here. And this is Gio, who last year was Lucas Beinecke, okay? Oh, that's Olivia Carr. I'm sorry, I forgot that. That's Olivia Carr. Right? But I want to thank you all for coming tonight. It doesn't bring out the same numbers as musicals, but I really don't care. Because what these guys did tonight was really beautiful. And there's a lot to think about in what they did. There's a lot to take home and really think about. Because I do think we don't look at each other. I do think we spend most of the time on our devices. And I thought about that a lot when I chose this show. That one line where Emily says, just look at me like you really saw me. I think we need a little more of that. So, and if you thought this was sad, you're going to see the Steelers play the Ravens. That's going to be a tragedy. You know, if the Bengals game was a tragedy, this is going to be like Greek. It's going to be really bad. So, thank you all so much for coming out today. If you could give us a little hand, we're going to try, the actors got to go, we're going to try to restore the cafeteria to a little bit, if there's any Might and Main type people here, to help us kind of restore it a little bit so I don't have to have strange lunchroom complaints anymore. But thank you so much for coming and sharing these incredibly talented young people with us. There's the rest of the cast and crew over there. So talk to them for a while. We'll get started to clean up. God bless you all, and have a great week.